Hola, estudiantes de Español 1. Your grammar topic 19 in Unidad 8 is tener que plus infinitive. Part of this grammar topic you have already learned in Unidad 4, and we reinforced it in Unidad 5, 6, and 7. The second part of this grammar topic, which is the main focus, is now how are we using it, or why are we using the verb tener in a little bit of a different way. So the first task you're going to do to introduce this grammar topic is to copy the sentences below that you're about to see. In those sentences, there are 6 of them. You're going to underline the conjugated verb and circle the infinitive. I'm going to do the first sentence with you so that you have a little reminder of what a conjugated verb is and what an infinitive is. All right, so the first one is tengo que cocinar para la fiesta. One hint as you're doing this task is that the green bolded part of the sentence that you're copying is the part of the sentence that has the conjugated verb and the infinitive. So if you find yourself trying to circle something that is not green or bolded, then you are not on the right track. Again, the concept of something conjugated is not new. That should be a review for you. And you're going to see a pattern as you go through these. So your first sentence is, again, tengo que cocinar para la fiesta. Tengo is your conjugated verb, and cocinar is your infinitive. So remember, tengo, if you had the chart of the verb tener, tengo would be inside of the chart, which means it's a conjugation. There's a subject with it. And cocinar has an AR on the end, and that means it's an infinitive. The other types of infinitives, remember, are ER verbs and IR verbs. Again, you're going to see a pattern as you go through. So underline the conjugation, circle the infinitive. The second one is tienes que lavar los platos. Write the whole sentence, including the rest of the word, not just the green and the bolded part, and then underline and circle. Susana tiene que cortar el césped. Tenemos que envolver los regalos. Tenéis que limpiar la casa. Los estudiantes tienen que estudiar. Okay, if you need more time, pause it so that you can copy, underline, and circle. There are 2 uses of the verb tener. Every part of this slide is important to write down. Although the first part is going to be a review, it still is important to write down so you can compare it to the new use of the verb tener that we're going to talk about in this grammar lesson. So first of all, tener, remember, means to have, and it's used to express, this is the review part, the possession, which is something that one has. That is when tener is directly followed by a noun. Again, I introduced this in Unidad 4, and we used this concept in Unidad 5, 6, and 7. So this part is review. So tener with possession, it's used to talk about what someone has, and it's directly followed by a noun. Your example here, make sure you write everything down on the side. The example is tenemos una lavadora. From your vocab, the example is we have a washing machine. Tenemos is the conjugated form of tener, and the noun is una lavadora. Very simple structure to express the possession. The new use of the verb tener that we're going to talk about today, you've been exposed to it a little bit through the vocab, but grammatically is using the verb tener for obligation, and that is something that one has to do. So it could be a chore, something on a to-do list, something that has to be done. So this is when tener is followed by the word que and an infinitive. So if you go back and look above at the sentences that you wrote, you'll see that every one of those sentences, the 3 words that are bolded, has the word que in the middle. That means that this is not a possession. This is something followed by an action or an infinitive. It's followed by a verb that implies obligation. So example here, tenemos que lavar la ropa. In this case, tenemos is your conjugated verb and lavar is your infinitive. So we have tener plus que plus infinitive, which is the grammar topic. Tener que plus infinitive. And the translation here is not what do you have, but it's what do you have to do. So we have to wash dishes. So again, the difference is one use of tener is with possession, something you have. The second use is obligation, something you have to do. The sentence structure again is the verb tener conjugated plus que plus the infinitive, which is unconjugated. You are not going to conjugate both verbs even though you have a subject. You will only conjugate the verb tener based on your subject. The infinitive already means to something, so it makes sense to leave it alone because that's the thing that has to be done. No one's actually doing that chore or that thing on the to-do list. So you're only conjugating the verb tener. A reminder, if you forgot the tener conjugations, they're here. I highly suggest copying this chart down again. If not, you're going to really struggle through this grammar topic if you don't have the verb tener memorized. So carefully copy this chart down is my strong recommendation. So you have tengo, tienes, tiene, tenemos, tenéis, tienen. And again, remember when something is conjugated, that means it goes with a subject. So yo tengo, I have, tienes, you have, tiene, he has, she has, or you have, formal. Tenemos is we have, tenéis is y'all have, and tienen is they have or you all have. So in order with the subject pronouns, remember the conjugations reflect the subject. And then que, and then the infinitive unconjugated. So we'll look again at these 6 examples. You don't have to rewrite these down. These are the exact same sentences. I'm going to read them again, and in just a second, I'll give you your final task of the video. So, número 1, tengo que cocinar para la fiesta. That goes back to some vocab in Unidad 7, Unit 7. Número 2, tienes que lavar los platos. That's part of Unidad 8, vocab. Número 3, Susana tiene que cortar el césped. It's also part of Unidad 8, vocab. Number 4, tenemos que envolver los regalos. That is part of Unit 7, vocab. Number 5, tenéis que limpiar la casa. That is part of Unidad 8, this unit's vocab. And lastly, los estudiantes tienen que estudiar. That goes all the way back to Unidad 3 and Unidad 4, vocab. So the reason I told you what unit that you will have the vocab from is because your final task is to translate these sentences. Remember, the word que has no translation in the sentence. The que is there to express the obligation of this sentence with the verb tener. For example, tengo que cocinar para la fiesta. I have to cook for the party. So you're not going to say I have to, or you're not going to translate the word que actually for this one. So you can just really remove the que in your mind and translate tengo, I have, and cocinar is to cook. So if that helps you to mentally remove the word que when you're translating, then that would be a good way to look at this. But in Spanish, you must have the word que so it distinguishes between possession and obligation. So again, translate these 6 sentences. If you have questions, you can certainly email or ask me in class, and we'll do some practica in class as well.